Peter McGuire is joining us to make sense of what's happening in the world of commodities. He's the Chief Executive Officer at XM Australia as well. Peter, hi. Thank you so much for making time. Well, this G7 summit is underway and we were expecting that there might be some sort of positive development when it comes to the Iran deal. That doesn't seem to be happening, but the sanctions on Russia is something which is playing out for the crude markets.
Well, exactly right. And it's certainly a mixed bag. There's many ingredients to this cake. And we've seen a very solid uptick as far as US crude and certainly Brent over the last matter of days. Well, I can't believe it. Brent's back at 117. You've got WTI sitting at 111. So they've had very, very strongly bid up since Friday. And it looks like the momentum's to the upside.
Jamal, what do you make of the resilience of the rupee? Yes, we are hitting a new low, but 78.50. It's much better off than, earlier instances where you saw such capitulation?
Well, I mean, it looks clear that 80 is coming. Whether it's coming in a week or 2 weeks or 2 months, I don't know. You see, everything is driven by, you were talking about crude, you're talking about the continuing market crisis really in the US. So fundamentally, and if you look, in fact, I was starting to look at the data, but didn't have time to do the analysis. If you look at outflows, I think from April, there have been only 2 days where there were inflows. So, basically, it's time to leave. It's time to put money at home. So the rupee is going to feel the pressure, The domestic investors have been, in a sense, protected. And, of course, Reserve Bank is there. They don't want it to go to hell in a basket. So they're trying to protect it. But they also have limitations, right? Reserves have fallen below 600 billion. They've been, fooling in the forward market, et cetera, et cetera. I think when it's going down, it's going down. Today it opened at, 38, and it's at 78 right now, right? Something like that.
Fair enough. So 80 is coming. When is the question and not really if. But Peter, you track the dollar index also very closely, and what's happening to the EM currencies is of course related to the strength in US dollar, which is back at the 104 level. Where do you see that particular index headed?
Well, we're sitting at that 104 handle. I won't be surprised to see a 105, maybe even a 106. I think it's going to whipsaw. It's going to be wild as far as volatility swings. And it's certainly demonstrated that over the last couple of weeks. So we've got what's happening as far as US with another rate rise. I'm not sure how aggressive Fed Chair Powell wants to be. You've got the forum tomorrow, the big three, and Wednesday. So it's a Wednesday big three. You've got ECB, Fed Chair, and Governor Bailey out of the Bank of England, and they're looking as far as what's going on with inflation, interest rates, and so on. So if they bid it up, I wouldn't be surprised you're going to see a little bit further move to the upside for that US dollar index.
Okay, maybe 106 coming as far as the dollar index is concerned. But Peter, before we let you go, would you want to hazard a guess of what level can crude kind of settle at?
Look, I think it won't surprise me to trade back at 123, 124 for Brent. You're currently at 117. It seems to be it's going to be range bound, and that's what they're doing to it. They're trading these big swings from 123, 124 back to 107, 108, and then it ramps back up again. And that's what these hedge funds and traders are all looking at. So that's the activity at the moment. I'm not sure whether you're going to see higher than 125. I'm worried about Libya, worried about what's happening as far as Ecuador. So, yeah, that could be a wild card to add more spice to the upside.
Fair enough. But Jamal, as we speak, we are getting, fresh flashes from agencies saying that RBI seems to be, intervening when it comes to the currency markets, given the weakness that we are seeing. It says that RBI is said to be intervening in spot futures FX markets. And that's quite understandable given the fact that the move that we saw in rupee today was rather big coming in from the currency world. It opened around that 78.30 levels, if I'm correct, and it has moved on to the levels of 78.70. Do you expect RBI to intervene in a major way? And where do you see it settling? Rupee is concerned. Of course, 80 is coming, you said, but in the very immediate term, where do you see it headed?
I don't know, and nobody knows. RBI is, of course, in the market, right? It's their job. They have to prevent things from really getting too crazy. But it's clear that the market this is one of the biggest intraday moves in a long time. So the market is really on fire. So one of the things to also pay attention to, and I think Peter or whatever the guy's name was, is that, markets move and then they bounce back. So we will see some volatility, but I don't think it's going to go straight down. But I think we need to recognize that the global sentiment is U.S. interest rates are going up because inflation is high. Global sentiment is for a stronger dollar. However, having said that, equity markets are tanking. And at some point that will start to control and the dollar will weaken. And again, I don't know when that is. At that point, and maybe whether the rupee will have crossed 80 or not by then, chances are it will have. But I'm saying it's not going to keep falling, right? Nothing keeps going in one direction. The only concern is, as I said, equity markets. Because if you compare what's happening now with 2008, in the 2008 crisis, the market fell for a year and a half. Right now, it's been falling for about 6 months. So it's a very difficult time. It's a difficult. See, at the best of times, it's impossible to forecast the market. When volatility is so high, you shouldn't even try. I know it's your job to tell people what's going to happen, but you don't know, and I don't know, and they don't know.
Taken, none of us here are any wiser. What will happen, only time can tell, and that's the biggest teacher when it comes to that. Peter as well as Jamal, thank you so much for joining us today and lending your insights with what's happening in the world of currencies as well as commodities. So